This episode of the School Zone podcast is brought to you by School Spirit Vending, hassle-free year-round fundraising for your school. At School Spirit Vending, we do all the work. You cash the check.
Welcome to the School Zone podcast, your source for the most creative and innovative ways to school fundraise and impact your kids. Now, here's your host, Matt Miller.
Hey, School Zone podcast listeners. Matt Miller coming at you from Stephenville, Texas. And I am excited tonight to have none other than David Holden of Wheels of Freestyle on. David's company has delivered more than 6,000 extreme sports performances worldwide. They produce running shows at places like Disney's California Adventure Park, Legoland, Silver Dollar City, Hershey's Park, Stone Mountain Park, etc., etc. And the thing that I'm excited about getting a chance to talk to David about is his BMX show that they do for schools, and just to learn a little bit more about what they do and how they do it and the impact that they're having on kids all over the nation. So David Holden, thanks for coming on the School Zone podcast. Why don't you say hey to everybody and give everybody a little bit of background on you?
How you doing, Matt? Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to actually be with you on the podcast. Once again, my name is Dave Holden, and I run a company called Wheels of Freestyle. We've been, like he said, producing BMX stunt shows in schools for 20 years now. It's hard to believe time flies, but it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really happy to be here with you.
Very cool. So how did you get started in the whole BMX thing? I gotta admit, I didn't catch that trend when I was younger. I think we're both probably pretty comparable age, but anyway, that's pretty cool, man. I'd be too scared to get on that thing and do anything but drive down the street, I think. So good on you. But so give us a little background on how you got started and all that. I know you have history as an athlete in general, but BMX is kind of a specialized thing.
Well, my start actually is extremely unconventional compared to the other athletes in the industry. I actually, like you said, I was a mainstream athlete. I played basketball and football. I played basketball in high school. I played basketball in college, as well as soccer in college. So I was just all about the big 3 or 4 sports. And I came across a friend in college. We became friends, and he told me he was a professional BMX rider. And at that time, this is in the early 90s, and I didn't even really know what BMX was. It was a very small, niche sport. So I just said, oh, cool, so you ride your bike and do stunts. But I never actually saw it. We became friends. We were friends all through college. We graduated together. And I graduated with a degree in business and communications. And so what happened was, because I had that degree and we had become good friends in the weight room, actually lifting weights, he asked me if I would join him and start this new company doing BMX shows. And so I was introduced to bike riding after graduating from college, which is completely unconventional. Like you said, it's something people do as kids. And as an athlete throughout my life, I had to try it. The guys were out riding and practicing, and so I said, let me give this a try. So it was kind of like right in the peak of my athletic career in college. So I just jumped on a bike, and it just felt natural, and it was fun, and we were just enjoying it. And that's how I first got introduced to it, and that's the beginning. So we can go on from there, but that's how it started.
So then, what was it specifically you guys were doing back then? Were you guys just doing stunt shows, or were you doing stuff in the schools from the beginning, or?
Well, my friend Jeff, he's the one that got me into it. He got me out of college. Instead of going out and getting the regular job thing, he asked me if I would start this business, doing school shows, school assemblies. And so I looked at it, and he was a great friend of mine, and he is a very talented rider. And I thought we could make it work, so I decided to take the jump, so to speak, no pun intended, and jump right into the BMX world and see if we could make a company out of it. So we started putting brochures together and planning it all out and getting ready to launch our first season of bike shows.
So what, were you just purely doing bike shows then, or did you have a message along with the shows? What were things like 20 years ago, kind of in the space that you're still in?
20 years ago, the big message was bike safety and helmet wear. So we started off doing this kind of the spring shows were, bike safety and encouraging kids to wear helmets. And then in the fall, we did the Red Ribbon Week, which is the big anti-drug week. And so we kind of like oscillate back and forth. In the fall, we would promote this anti-drug program using the bikes as the vehicle, so to speak, to reach the kids. And then in the spring, we'd advertise to the schools that, hey, we can come out and do a spring fun, end of the year assembly, May, June. It was our busy season, and promote bike safety and helmet wear. So that was where it started. And it's obviously evolved over the last 2 decades.
Wow. So yeah, obviously you're continuing to do the stunt shows. What's some of the other messaging been over the years?
About 3 or 4 years into it, I started a new program with the anti-violence message. We kind of added an anti-bullying and really addressing, being trying to be a non-violent person and encouraging the kids to stay away from fighting and bullying and things like that. So that was kind of one of the evolutions. And then as most recently as this last year, I created a new program called the Go Green, Live Clean BMX show. And it still has the same messages, so to speak, but I've added solar power to power our PA system. And bikes, obviously, is a pollution-free way to have fun as well as transportation. And so I'm going to bring this new kind of themed show, which demonstrates how we're going to save a little bit of energy in the show and how we can use our minds creatively if everybody does their part. And especially kids, the next generation, our world today is less polluted because of the emissions controls and things we've done with vehicles. Like Los Angeles used to be super polluted, and it still is, but each step helps. And so my goal in the schools is to do our typical message, but also add a component of awareness where the kids can be aware that when they grow up, hey, if everybody is aware and conserves and turns the lights off, and they even uses solar power or all these clean energy possibilities, or even it's in that industry and creates new exciting technologies, that we can all be living in a greener planet, in the future. So that's kind of my latest attempt to evolve the show to another arena.
So do you guys then still offer some of the other messages as well, or is it just purely today the new show?
No, we always offer it's evolved into what I call the 5 secrets to success. And so in the beginning, it was the anti-drug message. And then we always have bike safety in every show. So every show we have a 5-point bike check, and then we encourage kids to wear helmets. So that's just become a staple in the show because it's a bike show. And then the anti-drug message and then the anti-violence message has evolved into what we call our 5 secrets to success. And that's a talk that addresses living drug-free, being a drug-free person. And it talks about living your dreams, which one of the secrets to success is to find and have, big dreams. And then we talk about motivation, that it doesn't happen, just sitting on a couch. You got to get up. You got to chase your dreams. You have to be motivated. And then we talk about respecting others. And that's kind of the anti-bullying component to success, meaning and we tie it in with bike riding. For instance, my bike riders have sponsors, and they wouldn't be sponsored if they had attitude problems, if they were bullies, if these companies viewed them as bad representatives of their brand. Part of their success, even in bike riding, is being respectful, positive, great energy, and not being, a bullying type of person or having a bad attitude. And then lastly, we tell the kids the secret to success is to stay in school, the importance of education. And we tie that in with not just going to school now, but having that goal of graduating. You never quit. And that kind of ties in with bike riding. We never quit on our bikes, no matter what. So we're kind of building the message out to the 5 secrets to success, presented in a fun, positive way, but it tackles each one of those components to their future.
I know one of the challenges that a lot of schools I talk to and parents as well is just the fact that, whereas you and I, we grew up being outside and doing all that kind of stuff, with today's kids, with technology and everything, it's oftentimes to get them off the couch or whatever. So how has the receptivity to your show changed at all with your audience over the years, just because of, the changing of society?
It has, and I agree with you. Like the advent of video gaming, and I'm not talking bad about video games. I'm just saying that so many distractions are keeping people in general, in their homes and not outside and not playing and not exercising and not being out there chasing their dreams. And so the kids too, a lot of kids, they get caught up in just sitting at home and playing video games. And so we encourage them to find a passion, get outside, do things. And, we're out there riding our bikes, which is, to be honest with you, it's one of the funnest moments you could have.
Right.
We love it. And the guys are happy and they're smiling and we're having a great time. And I think the kids kind of feed off of that. They see that we're having so much fun. I've even had bike riders coming up that I used to do shows back in the 90s that became bike riders, and they said they were inspired by the show we did in their school, and they're pros now.
Wow.
So it does inspire the kids to think outside the box and say, what can I do?
So do you get to share with them at all or discuss, discipline and hard work and all that? Because obviously to do what you guys do, there's a lot of that goes on behind the scenes that, once again, in our society today, because of the whole microwave thought process, everybody just thinks that, well, obviously Dave was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He knew how to ride a bike from birth. And so that's why he can do what he does today, right?
Man, I'm really glad you brought that up. We all make those assumptions. Like when we watch an NBA basketball game, we just think, well, that guy's just always been good. And I'm telling you, behind every success story in anything, and whatever it is, somebody worked hard. Nothing is gifted to anyone. I don't care who you are. And so when I watch these guys, like I ride flatland, and my tricks, they're hard in and of themselves, and it took years and years of practice. But what the audience doesn't realize is how many hours that we spent alone failing in order to learn even one stunt. And then, millions of people can maybe learn a stunt, but then to be able to do it on command in any environment, in any time, no matter how you feel, with a smile on your face is a whole nother level. So these guys, these are special athletes. When they come out, you know as well as I do, you don't feel the same every single day. Some days you feel wonderful. Some days you might be tired or exhausted, but the show must go on. We put a smile on our face, and the guys perform, and they do these stunts. They didn't get, like you said, they didn't get there overnight. It wasn't gifted to them. They were just like everybody else, and they found something they loved, and they worked their tails off, and that's the result. And we do have an opportunity in the shows. We share that with the kids, that this is the result of many times 10 to 20 years of hard work. It's not something that just comes overnight.
Hey, Dave, let's take a short break. And when we come back, I want to get more into detail about, who your ideal school is, what's necessary on the school side of things in order to potentially bring one of your teams in and that type of thing. Are you an educator, administrator, or school volunteer looking for a simpler way to raise money for your school? Let School Spirit Vending put their hassle-free year-round fundraising program to work for you. School Spirit Vending. We do all the work. You cash the check. Go to schoolspiritvending.com/schoolzone for all the details.
There are a lot of kids in this world just like me, except they don't have a way to get any clean drinking water. Clean Water Kids is the kid part of kidsacrosscultures.org, where we ask school kids to be our partner in raising awareness for water projects. Clean water changes kids, which changes schools and changes families. And when we help other kids get clean water, it changes us. Clean water changes everything. Raising money for water filters and other water projects is really easy. We have schools, organizations, and other groups all over who do it. Go to cleanwaterkids.com for more information and ideas on how you can partner with us. Although we focus on schools, you don't have to be a school to help us. You can tell your school, your team, your church, your club, or troop, or whatever you're a part of about cleanwaterkids.com and see how easy it is to help. I think every kid deserves clean water to drink. Don't you? I'm Travis, and I'm a clean water kid.
You've been listening to the School Zone Podcast, your source for the most creative and innovative ways to school fundraise and impact your kids. Now, back to Matt.
All right, guys, we're here once again with David Holden. So, David, talk a little bit more about, you guys have done 6,000 shows. I assume, that's a mix of schools as well as the other live shows you do at other places. Talk a little bit about, who the typical school is that brings you guys in. What's the ideal environment as far as, can it be done inside, outside? Some of those specifics that I know some of the schools that are listening right now are thinking, okay, so this sounds really, really cool, but are my facilities set up to allow us to do something like this?
Well, honestly, I've never met a school that we couldn't make it happen. And that's in 20 years. And like you said, thousands and thousands and thousands of shows. We've done shows indoors, outdoors, on driveways, even in dirt, which was not fun, but we did it. So we kind of have a show must go on mentality. And I've had schools actually that didn't have a lot of space have the teachers park across the street in the morning just so we could do the show, and then they'd pull the cars in and get back to school. So
oh, wow.
Our flexibility is incredible, to be honest with you. We just we also can do flatland shows. We can go indoors. I have ramps that come apart in pieces and can be carried inside a gym. So the flexibility is awesome. The one thing we can't do is do a show in the rain. You can't ride safely with wet tires and wet ramps. So the only issues I've had is weather, and we always have remained flexible, so we don't hold their feet to the fire, so to speak. If it's going to rain, we get in contact. We let the school know. We talk about it. We rearrange the schedule. We change dates, whatever we can do to make the show happen. So it's never something where a school books a show and then they're locked in and then it rains and they just lost, because that's not what we're about.
So you guys, it's my understanding, Dave, can do shows pretty much anywhere in the country. So what kind of team have you guys assembled, to be able to support, obviously, a bunch of these different theme parks and other large-scale events, but then also to be able to take your show on the road pretty much anywhere?
Well, I have currently about 5 satellite teams that are located in different regions of the nation. And so I can deploy a team from Texas. I actually have a team in Fort Worth. I have a team out in Atlanta and a team in Philadelphia, a team in Indianapolis. So we have these satellite teams, and I have the ability to put 3 teams on the road in California at any time. So it gives me a lot of flexibility in scheduling.
Very, very cool. Is your audience elementary, middle, junior, high school, any of the above? What do you typically find works best as far as that's concerned?
That's a good question, because some schools have called and said, well, is this appropriate for a high school? And how it breaks down is, because there's so many elementary schools, and obviously the majority of our shows are elementary, but we do shows for middle schools, for high schools. In fact, I have a show at a high school in Anaheim tomorrow morning. We're doing a little high school tour this week. So it's any age group. We just did a show recently for the Mortgage Banking Association convention for all adults in suits, a bunch of bankers here in San Diego that we did a show for. So it's an entertainment for anyone, adults, people in suits, all the way to the little kids, in first, second grade, so even kindergarten. So what we do is we adjust the show to the age group. So, for instance, we're going to talk a little bit different to an elementary school than to the middle school. And then tomorrow at the high school, we're going to talk to them in a different way than we would with the elementary school. So, but the experience of 20 years has made it, it's very seamless. Like wherever we are, whatever environment, we all know how to adjust, to that crowd and be able to speak in terms that they'll understand.
So give me a couple anecdotal stories. You mentioned, a couple kids that saw the show and now are professional riders or whatever, but maybe share a couple of stories. I'm sure you get letters and calls and that type of thing, of maybe a kid or two along the way that your show really had an impact on, and the school got back with you later to kind of let you know.
We do get a lot of packets of letters. A lot of times, like a classroom it's so cute. Each kid will draw a drawing of what they saw at the bike show. And I mean, they're just hilarious to see, second graders drawing the show and their favorite parts. And we have a special part of the show where we actually bunny hop over some teachers, and it's a really fun part of the show. The kids get to watch that. So that tends to be one of their favorite things, is when some of their teachers get to come out and lay down, and we have a full skit about that. But yeah, everything. I've had letters saying that we encouraged a kid to wear a helmet and probably saved his life because he was wearing a helmet that day when he crashed on his bike. I've had people say that they've made, some great life decisions after seeing the show. They've decided to work harder in school and get better grades. And as I was mentioning before, I actually did a YMCA camp for an athlete when he was 13 years old. I believe this was in the late 90s. And he ended up becoming professional and actually won an X Games gold medal. So this guy was in my YMCA camp as a 13-year-old, and he ended up going for all the way to an X Games gold medal. So it was really cool to watch him go from a 13-year-old to the best in the world.
Wow.
So yeah, it does make an impact. It's each person's an individual, and I can't speak for everyone, but I know that it's a high energy experience. The kids, it's just a lot of smiles. Everybody's having fun and the high energy, and I think that's why it works, because when you have the athletes delivering the messages themselves, there's some impact there because we're able to demonstrate the sport live, right in front of them. Unlike, a basketball player can't come do a professional basketball show. It's very unique to be able to set up and do a bike show.
So who do you typically work with within the school as far as bringing your guys' program in? Is it the administrator? Is it the PTA or PTO?
We do a lot of shows where a principal will call us, but I would say a big chunk of our shows are through the PTAs and PTOs, yes. And in fact, this week we're doing a whole tour of the high schools in Anaheim through an organization called TOOP, which is Tobacco Use Prevention Education. And so we're going to be, it's being funded by, the program, which is a anti-tobacco program. So it's a little outside the box. It comes from everywhere. We have some shows that come from PTAs, some come from, grants from these organizations, and others, the schools just fund it themselves. So it's kind of a variety of options.
Very cool. Anything else, Dave, that you can think of that you want to make sure that we share with the audience?
This has been a wonderful adventure. I actually, if I could thank every school that's ever invited us to their school, I would do it personally, because this has been a privilege. I didn't think I was going to get into this. I didn't know this was going to be my career, and I can only say it's been one great ride. No pun intended, I guess, but it's been so much fun, such an adventure. Every school is different. Every show is different. I mean, I look back on it, and it has been a privilege, and I thank every school for giving us. My riders today, we're all just so happy because, we're just so thankful that we get to do this for a living. We're on the way to the show going, this is another great day riding our bikes. How can we complain? So schools don't understand how much joy they give us, and the kids don't understand how much joy they give us. Contests are great, and sponsors and the industry and all that is great, but I don't think anybody gets more joy than doing it for the kids. It's a big privilege, and I appreciate it so much being able to do this. So I want to express that.
So Dave, what's the best way for folks to get in contact with you so that they can, find out more specifics about the program and potentially bring you guys out to their school?
Our website is the best way, and it's wheelsoffreestyle.com. And I'm not sure if you mentioned this earlier, we're based out of San Diego, and it's wheelsoffreestyle.com, and we have a new website called gogreenbmxshow.com, and that one we're still kind of polishing up, but it still has a lot of good stuff on it. But either website comes to the same company, and they can go there and check out videos and all kinds of things, photos, and you can also contact us on those websites.
Hey, one other thing I just thought of that I should ask. As far as timing, I know you guys are probably booking events all year round, but are there when's the best times of the year for schools to get with you, get on the calendar to make sure that they get the dates that are mutually, work out for both of you guys before your guys' schedule gets booked up?
Yeah, honestly, our busiest booking seasons are August and September, and January and February. And one thing that schools need to understand is we do have limited resources. So let's say if a school wants to be on Red Ribbon Week, I can only do in that 1 week about 10 schools. And so if I'm running 2 teams or 3 teams, you're looking at only 20 or 30 schools in all of California that can get a spot on Red Ribbon Week. And so a lot of the times I'll get to September and schools will call and I'll say, I can't do Red Ribbon Week, but we can do the week before or the week after. So I encourage a school, if you're interested in Red Ribbon Week, try to get it down by the end of this year, the spring, because that's the most popular week of the year. And then the same applies for May and June. If you want to be part of our May and June tours, making sure you get it even November, December is a good idea, because by late January, those tours are starting to fill up. So then it gets more challenging to find a spot that works.
Very cool. Well, David Holden, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share with the School Zone listeners. And you have an awesome rest of the spring, and we'll look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thanks a lot, Matt. I appreciate you having me on. I had a great time.
All right, man. Thanks. God bless.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would be honored if you would leave a 5-star rating and review and hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. Most teachers and administrators not only want their kids to have developed minds, but opportunities to develop creativity, positive human values, and a sense of personal excellence. But your budget doesn't allow for all of it. You need fundraising. At School Spirit Vending, we are helping a growing number of elementary schools fundraise the easy way, and we do all the work. We provide the sticker vending machine, free customized school logo stickers, licensed and non-licensed stickers like NFL and Disney, as well as tons of other fun stickers that are relevant to kids. The best part? School Spirit Vending is free. No upfront expenses for schools at all. A percentage of machine revenue goes directly to the school, PTA, or PTO each month. And did I say customized stickers? Our skilled graphics team can help custom design your school spirit stickers. You just tell us what you want. The only thing you do is provide us a busy hallway or commons area. Oh, and you'll have to find the time to cash a monthly check. It doesn't get any easier than that. 2,000 elementary schools can't be wrong. To see for yourself how easy year-round, hassle-free fundraising can be, go to schoolspiritvending.com/schoolzone.